that's another thing that need to say, which is that I don't know how many different countries know about me, or the leaders, or if what I don't know anything that's going on, what people are doing. I feel like it's easy to concentrate on England and America because they speak English as a first language, or at least I thought that. Technically, when I went to California, I realized that a lot of people actually spoke Mexican there, or at least a lot of people that I was talking to, because I was talking to, I guess, the cleaners and stuff like that. Most of them spoke Mexican, so I was like, I thought this was English as a first language. But anyway, I one thing I noticed, if Mexicans are hardworking, then then great. I support bringing them in and stuff. It just gets the hard workers, people that don't want to cheat, people that want to, people that are happy to pay. That's actually how I would do it. How I would do immigration. I would give people sort of temporary 1 year passes where you sort of monitor and assess what they're like. You find out where they're working, you get some sort of statement from whoever they're working, and say, have they been abiding by the law? Have they, how much do they drink? Or, just basic. Don't go into too much detail, but just say what kind of person they are. And that's how I would do immigration. Give people a 1 year test. People who you have skills and stuff, you give them a 1 year test. And maybe if you want to turn it into a 3 year test, if they didn't do so well, maybe you can turn it into a 3 year test. But yeah, that's anyway, whatever. I'm going back to what I was talking about before. I don't know what they're doing in other countries. I've been to Thailand, so I did spend quite a long time there, but yeah, I have no clue. If I went into some sort of hidden Big Brother show, and it was revealed in Thailand that someone thinks that, I'm God, how would they react? How would they respond to the fact that I don't speak Thai? How would they respond to the fact that I think a lot of there's a lot of dirty places in there, and there's, I don't know, like, I love there's some great beaches and stuff, but I thought Bangkok was quite a dirty place. But I was a big fan on the shopping. I did lots and lots of shopping. They have good qualities. I very lots of cheap stuff there. But yeah, how would they feel if they knew that I was God, and that it was okay? I went there because it's cheap, but yeah, it was also quite dirty. Um, are they going to hate me for saying things like that? And how would, I don't know how Russia would feel. No clue how Russia would feel. How would Malaysia know that I was God? And I don't actually know anything about Malaysia. I've never been there. How would China feel? How would Poland or Germany? I just don't know. I feel like I need a platform where I can be exposed to all these different countries, and you can test people on how they feel about me, how they feel about me not being able to speak or understand their language. Does it bother them? Are they happy to accept that maybe I only speak one language because my higher self doesn't agree with the Bible and doesn't think that the languages should be all mixed and muddled up? Because apparently, according to the Bible, God muddled up the languages so that they couldn't build the Tower of Babel. And it's like, no, actually, I'm Babylon. I actually want you to build the Tower of Babel, or whatever that is. Babel, I think, is just like chat. I want you to build a tower of chat, where you talk about me and, ascend me as a possible candidate for this one world leader or whatever. Um, I think they'd prefer a guy. I think the world would prefer a guy, so you could give them something different if they want something different. But I don't know how these countries will react, and I don't know how much the governments of these countries like me. I know a lot of countries don't like America because they have been starting loads of wars. Um, but at the same time, if you knew that actually God is juggling 9 million, or 9 billion, should I say, 9 billion souls, and she cannot handle it, and therefore wars and deaths need to happen so that the population becomes manageable. I mean, imagine you had 9 billion kids, and you had to manage and run this thing, make sure you have to, if people commit serious crimes, not talking about little crimes, I'm talking about serious crimes such as sex trafficking, or not just murder, but torture. I feel like murder isn't that bad because the souls just die and come back, and therefore you're not really doing that much harm, and maybe they won't come back if they were born in the Tudor time, maybe they won't come back until this modern age. And so you've actually done them a favor. You've taken them out of the hell that they were living in the Tudor times. Maybe they were a chimney sweep or something like that. And you by killing them, okay, it might be sad, oh, this person's died. But, if they've been brought up into this world, you've actually done them a favor. So I don't see murder as a bad thing, but I do see torture as a bad thing. People who would torture and torture and torture someone, and I think there's a part in the Bible actually I saw today that said it's okay to beat your slaves so long as you don't kill them. It's like, no, there's lots of things in the Bible that are backwards and upside down. I do want you to have one language. I do want you to build the Tower of Babel of chatting about me. I do want you to I don't want you. Well, when it comes to killing, I don't agree with killing, but at the same time, if people are suffering, killing them is taking them out of their suffering. And I don't like seeing suffering. And I want to end extreme poverty, extreme suffering. And if killing them is going to do that, then technically you're doing them a favor, but they won't see it like that. And people around won't see it like that. And therefore, if you hate America for starting wars and for causing problems in the Middle East, I can understand, because you don't want problems. I don't want problems. But I also don't want suffering. And if people are suffering in the Middle East with or without war, or maybe the population generally needs to be kept low so that the juggling process that the Matrix, not I, but the Matrix is doing, stays fresh, stays alive. There's a lot of mistreatment between the sexes, and the best way to end sexism is to give the souls, a life as a woman and a life as a man. And when they come back as a man after being a woman, I feel like they would be far more able to accept that women should have more rights, or they're more open to the fact that women aren't just idiots. And a lot of guys do tend to have this bad opinion on women that, oh, they're just stupid, oh, they can't drive, they're stupid. If I don't drive, it's because I want to commit suicide, and I probably shouldn't drive because I probably shouldn't commit suicide. So I have a good reason for why I shouldn't drive. But yeah, if you want to say that I shouldn't drive because I'm an idiot, well, I think you're an idiot for saying that, because you don't know the truth. And it's I think America have caused a lot of wars, so I can understand why countries might not like them. But at the same time, if you see it from God's perspective, as in there's too many people, she can't manage as many people, and lowering the population, even though it's through war and it is through suffering, and I don't like suffering, but at the same time, people don't understand that death is not suffering. Living is suffering. Living in poverty, living with men treating you like crap, or living with nothing, or bad jobs, or nothing. On one hand, they're causing more problems because, okay, you destroy buildings and stuff, but a lot of the buildings look like sandcastles, and I don't want to take anyone's side. I just know that countries all over the world need to respect that if something bad is happening, there could be a good reason for it. And yeah, I don't know how countries would want to, how the people in the countries would want to deal with the possibility that I could be their creator, their God, that my soul and spirit lies in them. And the reason why they're not trying to learn English could be that they just haven't managed to recognize the fact that Christ or God only wants English, or only wants people to speak English. I that would be my first wish, to have everyone around the world speak English. The second one would be to not wear those religious garments. Do you know that God only speaks English? No. Do you know that God doesn't like just black and white garments? I'm a massive supporter of fashion, and I sometimes wear shitty fashion, but it's still personality, and it's still, developing an individuality in yourself. Um, you know, I, I can understand why China might be less about individuality, because I think Lily is so much better and smarter in a much better world than me. And hence, I think you're trying to get everyone to be similar, because Lily wants everyone to be just like herself. Whereas with me, I feel like I don't know what I want right now. This world is such a mess that I feel like I don't really know what I want. Whereas I feel like when I'm Lily in my next life, I will know what I want. And I feel like there might be less individuality, because spiritually you are picking up on what her life will be like, and her life will be far more, she'll be far more happy with her life. Whereas right now I don't know what I'm like. I feel like I've just got loads of different personalities, and I like all the different personalities of me, and I would like my people or people around the world to have lots of different personalities. So yeah, I feel like there is a slight difference when it comes to people who are trying to pick up on my energy versus people that are trying to pick up on Lily's energy. Hence why I said in that form that I need to speak to China or Chinese looking people, maybe um, that Mongolian. I need to speak to them slightly differently because their DNA is probably spiritually more connected to her than mine. Um, but yeah, I don't know how people will respond, but I feel like I need to go into hiding for 3.5 years. And I feel like um, people, there needs to be some way of testing, you know, how much the nation is able to accept me as God. Now I don't know which ones will take the long. I'm sure it'll probably be the Muslim that will take the longest to accept me. Why? Because I do think they're, I know that they're worshipping an inverted religion. So, e.g., everything that I don't agree with is things that they do agree with, and everything I do agree with are things that they don't agree with. So I feel like that might be the longest to accept me, or to just accept not to kill me. But yeah, I don't know what will happen. It's not up to me. It should be up to the leaders of these nations. The leaders of these nations have been selected by the nation, spiritually or physically, both. And yeah, I think you should, like in democracy, you know, you build up some sort of platform where you let the people think that they are getting what they want, whatever they want. If they want to reject me and don't want to believe that I'm God, fine. If they don't want me to even for my name to even be mentioned in their country, if they want to just completely blank me out and pretend that I'm not there, fine, do that. But I think bit by bit people will realize the truth. And I don't know what will happen. I don't know what will happen, but you know, if I do get all of England and all of America to believe that I'm Christ, then it is going to make people all around the world question whether or not I am. Because wait, she's got a massive, massive following, and as soon as my following rises more and more, you know, I'll probably become safer because no one's going to want to hurt me because it might cause war because of. And I don't care if it causes war. If I don't like lots of people and I know that death is only a way of, you know, I can just bring them back to life. I think the rich people might not be happy about that because they won't want to lose all their wealth. And you know, if you've had a really good life, you don't want to die so that, because you'll lose your memory, you'll lose your money, and you'll also lose your family as well. You might, you know, become like your child's grandchild, or you know, your own grandchild. You might your child's next child or something. You might. It's likely that you'll come back within your own family, but so you will kind of gain your own wealth back. But yeah, I don't know what will happen, but I know that they're going to want to stay safe, and I support that. But yeah, though I don't know how the world will feel. But if the world wants to reject me, or if the countries want to reject me, just keep doing it, and bit by bit, the Tower of Babel about me will be built up, and people will question the Bible and think, is this really what God wants? Is this really, you know, did God really say all this stuff like the snake said, like the serpent said? And bit by bit they'll realize that, you know, I'm right. You know, it's God would not say, okay, yeah, you can beat your servants up so long as you don't kill them. I'd say the opposite thing: don't beat your servants up. But if you want to kill them, well, there's 8 billion people in the world, and I can't manage this many people. And if someone is suffering and I can't help them, um, if you can end everyone's life who's suffering or extremely suffering, if you feel like you're going through extreme suffering, you know, if you will end that, then when you come back, hopefully there'll be a better world, because there'll be more resources that people can share now, and they can have a better life now, and they can focus on, you know, there's some towns that are really nice and built up, and you know, everyone wants to live there, and there's some places that just look like shit, and you feel bad because it's like, I felt that way when I was in London. You know, I wanted to buy a flat, I wanted to buy a house, but house prices were just going up and up and up, and I wasn't making that much money. The house prices, that the flat that I was in went up like £40,000, and I was making nothing during that time because I was spiritually drained and I couldn't do much, and so I just felt more and more poor, felt more and more like I was suffering because I just was looking at everything else that seemed to be changing and getting better, and I just wasn't. And you know, if people feel like they want something better and they can't get it, so much so that they're just suffering to the point that they don't like life and they don't like it, then like being alive, then they will probably they who depending on how much suffering they are. I think some people think that they're suffering when they're not, but those people are not great people. If you think you're going through extreme suffering, and yet what you're going through is so much less than what other people are going through, that kind of just shows that you're not able to really put things in perspective, and you're just thinking about yourself. Oh, poor me, this has happened, this has happened. And then you can find out another story about someone that's had something so much worse go on in their life, and yet they seem to be happier than you are. I mean, I actually support the people that are happier. If you've lost all your parents and you've still managed to find happiness in adopted parents, that's so much better than someone who maybe loses a parent when they're 20, and then just goes on the rest of their life about how miserable they are about losing a parent at 20, when really there's some people that lose their parents at birth and stuff like this. Some people need to focus on happiness, and trying to be satisfied and positive and stuff. And anyway.